Hi there, this is Brent Hearis, the productivity coach. And what I do is I guide people into high level, sustainable productivity. And I do this in three ways by showing people how to cultivate self control, self respect, and the flow state. So moving deeper into the flow state, moving into the flow of things on a moment by moment and day by day basis. So that's what I do for people. And so that's what I do with the people that I work with. And that is the single purpose of this channel, is to help guide you into a place of high level productivity. And so this is you kind of being in a steady creative state where you're not on a burnout course, say, but you're just kind of engaged directly with life and you're doing your most important stuff and you're really like kind of moving upward on your upward spiral towards further and further growth and further success. So to that end, I'm very excited to bring up this topic that's been just kind of kicking around in my awareness for the last little while, which is the subject of the new normal. And so that carries a lot of implications, political, societal, economical, and I'm not so concerned with any of that presently. What I am concerned with is your new normal, because I think you've probably also been noticing that there's a big part of us that wants to move back to normal. We want to go back to how things were. It's been a crazy ride these last couple months. Basically all of 2020 has just been nuts. And yet, I think a lot of us are starting to get a distinct sense that there actually is no normal to return to, which is kind of interesting. I saw there's this poster that I kind of walk by, or rather it's a spray paint graffiti that I go by when I do my runs. And it's like, there's this one part where it says, I want to move back to the new normal, but also the, normal is why we got where we are. And so we're in this interesting place now where we actually, we want to move into a new place of stability. And we want to start getting our bearings, to collect our bearings and start moving in a new direction where we can finally get back into control and we can start creating again and kind of getting on top of our lives and moving back into enjoyment and kind of, be able to cultivate those qualities in our life. But how? What does this new normal look like? How to move into it? What to do? Where to focus from here? And so there's a lot of question marks. And so in this video, the purpose is to give you something to work with, to give you a really core concept that you can kind of play with in your own life as you start to create your new normal. And ideally, this new normal will actually be much better. It'll actually, because we have this sort of blank slate, like there's a big resetting that's going on in the world right now. It's a little intimidating for sure, but there's also just big opportunity to just create our lives as we want it to be, really directly. And so I want to create that opportunity, or I want to help you create that opportunity now. So in order to do that, okay, so what I want to do is I want to start with a story from my own life. And I'm going to tell you the story to illustrate a concept that I want to share with you, which has to do with trust in the universe. And so it goes like this. So this is the story of my very first spiritual awakening. So when I literally woke up to like just the possibility of spirituality as an actual thing, as an actual legitimate form of study. And so it went like this. So up until I was around 19 years old, I was an atheist. And I was a very, very cold, hard, rational kind of atheist. And I was very staunch about it, and I was insufferable. I was really kind of always flying the atheist flag, and I was always looking for people to argue with and debates to get into. Because I had that kind of really pestery kind of vibe about me that characterizes, the negative aspect of atheism. And so I was going about my life, and I was finally able to graduate high school. So I'm maybe 18 or 19 years old. It's summertime, and I was walking from I was walking from maybe a friend's house, and I was going back home, and I passed by an old tutor's house, a guy that I used to work with. His name was Robert, and kind of a very cool, wise guy that we just get together every hour, and he'd kind of help guide me and become a fine young man, the man that you see today. And when I went to visit him, we spoke for a little while, and then he started telling me about this book called The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer. And he told me about how like this book just kind of came from left field for him. He didn't find it particularly well written. He's kind of like a literary teacher, but it was very impactful. And he went back for a couple reads. And so I was like, okay, that's a pretty high recommendation. And so he lent me the book, and I took it home and I started reading it, The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer. And so in this book, there were discussions of God. And I was like, oh, God, please, no, don't talk about God. It's not real. It's not true, whatever. And then like in the book, Wayne Dyer talks about, the faces of God. He says like, God is not like a kind of a being that you can just encounter. It's not, like it's too big and all encompassing and even insubstantial for that kind of thing. But God has many different faces, and you can recognize the face of God. And so he lists out, I forget them all, but I think there's 7 faces of God, one of them being gratitude, one of them being abundance, one of them being kindness. And it's like whenever you do gratitude or kindness or abundance or receive it, that's, God in motion kind of thing. And so then this whole kind of greater picture of God just began to open up to me, and it started to make sense. And so as I was reading this, there was a message that emerged from this video, which is a message that I hope will emerge in that book that I hope will emerge in this video, which is to move via intuition and to just follow your intuition and to trust that all will be well, to trust that all is well and that all will be well. To really, offer your trust up to the universe. This, by the way, is one of the most irrational asks of a person, to trust the universe, to trust that all is well, and to trust that all will be well, and to trust your intuition, and to trust kind of what's being called on you on a moment-by-moment basis from the universe or from God even. And so it's a very, very big ask, and there's an enormous leap that needs to be taken, a leap that you cannot make safe by gathering enough evidence or enough data to kind of like, to kind of create that bridge and to be able to see the bridge. And it's like, okay, I can see how I get from A to B. What's required in a moment such as this one is what Wayne Dyer calls a somersault into the unknown, or a jump into the abyss, where it's like we move on faith. Not kind of like sort of the Christian or, religious vibe of faith, but actual faith, which is just, believing in something without having any evidence for it. Believing first without evidence. So again, there's a really irrational piece about that, which I find really interesting. And yet when you jump into the abyss, when you jump into the unknown, when you take that leap of faith, not being stupid, not doing dumb things, that will hurt yourself, but when you feel intuitively like, oh my God, this just feels correct, even though I feel like I'm being pulled outside of my comfort zone. That's what I'm talking about. So, my cat wants to come in. Wait, 1 second. So that was the message that I received. And so I thought that was really interesting. And so then the question became, the most important question suddenly became, what wants to be created through me? In other words, what do I want to do? Like, if I knew that I were safe, and suppose I had limitless resources, and if I knew that all was going to be well, if I knew that all was going to be well, and that I were free to just simply create what it is that I've been meaning to create, or do whatever it is that I've been meaning to do, or say whatever it is that I've been meaning to say for the longest time, just kind of waiting for the right opportunity to just do, say, or be whatever it is that I've been waiting to get around to doing, or being, or saying. What was the beginning of the sentence? That, like, if you were to do that, the question is, what is that? And can I start doing that now? And so for me, it showed up as a desire to write a book. So I wanted to write a book on the subject of life's purpose, how to become aware of the purpose of your life. It was the first little PDF book that I wrote. I was 19 years old, and so I got right to work writing it. Now the problem though was that I didn't have a job. I had finished high school. I was university. Had I finished university? I'd finished university. That's what it was. And I was living back at home in Oakville in Ontario. And I had just lost a sales job. Sorry, this is a lot of context that you need to know. I just lost a sales job because I couldn't make any sales. And so I was back at home, and I was like, I didn't know how I was going to make money or get back on my feet, but I felt compelled to write this book. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write this fucking book. And so then I wrote it, right? And then so as I, a couple hours went through and the words started pouring out, and I looked out a window and I saw a kind of a landscaping car with a trailer kind of come through our cul-de-sac. And I saw it and I recognized it because I actually worked landscaping throughout the summer. And so I thought it might be pretty cool to go. Here we go. So I recognized the landscaping company, the people that I used to work with in prior summers. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go out and see them and say hello and catch up. So I ran downstairs and I go and I go up to the car who's servicing one of the kind of the neighbors on my cul-de-sac. And I go up and I realize it's actually not the right people. It's a different truck, it's a different company. And I had approached them, and the dude, was holding kind of one of these shovels. Like he turns around like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I mistook you for somebody else. And so, but then he's like, wait, hold on. Are you Brent? And I was like, yeah, that's who I am. And he's like, wait, you spoke to me a little bit earlier about how you wanted to have a job. Do you still want a job? And I was like, yes, I do. He's like, all right, well, can you start tomorrow? I was like, yes, I can, And so suddenly I had a job, and suddenly I was taken care of and I was supported. And so what I was free to do now was to have this landscaping job, on the weekdays up until, the afternoon, and I could spend the evenings working on this book. And so now I was supported while working on this book. And so it was like a really kind of intense 24 or 48 hour period for me, because I went from like atheism to like a new kind of evolved understanding of God, the concept of spirituality. I just woke up, trusting the universe, and then suddenly being supported to write my book. It was a very, very profound, punctuated moment for me that just kind of really put me on the path that leads me to where I am now. Like it was like a really major moment. And so, since then I've kind of, developed my spiritual path from there. But there's this one piece that continues to emerge again and again and again, both like in my own life and the people that I work with, is that to cultivate this sense of trust and to, whenever possible, to move directly on what we wish to create, like on what we wish to do. So with all that said, so that's the story, and that's what unfolded there. And so I want to ask you, what have you been meaning to create, or what have you been meaning to do, or what are you hoping to get around to? Or, you can ask this question in a million different ways. Like what kind of lifestyle would you like to cultivate for yourself? How would you like to spend more of your time? If you had unlimited resources, how would you spend your time? And so I'll ask these questions to people, and then a lot of people will say, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. I'm overwhelmed with options. There's like all these different things that I want to try. None of them seem appropriate. And I feel confused and bogged down, and I just end up procrastinating on all of it. And I just waste my time on the internet browsing and, watching TV and getting high, whatever. So if that's you, if you feel unclear about what you wish to do, I suggest that you do this. So here's core lesson number 2. Core lesson number 1 is to just begin creating whatever it is you've been meaning to create. Core lesson number 2 of this video is, if you don't know what it is that you wish to create, and if you don't know what it is that you want to do in a larger sense with your life and with your time, what it probably means is that you're overloaded with options. You're overloaded with data. You're overloaded with different methods and techniques and ways, and you're paralyzed with options. You're paralyzed with opportunity. If that's you, learn the difference between options and experience. The more options you cultivate and collect, the more confused you become. The more experience you collect, the more clear you become. When you collect experience, which is to say when you act on things and do things and attempt things and try and fail at things, you gain not only a more clear idea of how to do the thing that you're doing, but you become more clear of yourself, of what you want to spend more of your time doing. There's this really cool symbiosis that happens when you just do something and produce it and post it on the internet, or sell it for $3, or give it away for free, or just, or even just complete it and put it away somewhere for just you to look at. When you complete something, the experience gives you a clear sense of what you like and what you don't like, which is not otherwise available when you're collecting options. And when you have a sense of what you like and what you don't like, you just get rid of what you don't like and you cultivate more of what you do like. And then that is how you become more familiar with the gifts that you are here to offer. That's how you learn about them. That's how you learn about your purpose, just through this constant trial and error of accumulating experience. So I spoke about this a lot in my previous video, so I'll just leave that there. But I think, yeah, watch that video and really practice gaining experience with things. If you don't know what to do, choose a single thing for a day and then just do it. My wife's letting my cat in there. So that's it, really. So a little bit of a shorter video, pretty simple. Start to establish your new normal. See if you can let old ideas fall away of how life is supposed to be, how it's supposed to look like, and really allow your imagination to wander a little bit and bring all the options back on the table. What would you like to spend your life doing? And what would you like to spend your time doing? What would you like to create? And what would you like to make? If you don't know, then just do anything and then start to figure it out through the accumulation of experience. If you do know, then do that. And then, it's effectively the same thing. Trust that you are safe to create. This is the right time to just simply go ahead and try something new and to really get around to the thing that you most want to do. Trust that all is well and trust that you are supported as you do this. If you're in a situation that's, like, say, financially unstable, maybe figure out how to make yourself stable. Like, if your world's just falling apart, maybe pick up a part-time job or something. But, as soon as you have, say, a spare moment, or even like 1 hour per week, if you can carve away 1 hour per week to move into creation, do that. And then that's how you will create your new normal. So that's what I got for you. I wish you all the best. Take care. Oh, announcement, right. I still got my promotion. You can have a whole coaching session for 45 minutes for $5. If you want to learn more about that, I have links below in the description. You can have a one-on-one coaching session. You'll give me an opportunity to learn about you and just dive into your life a little bit more and help you figure out how to proceed into your new normal. All right, talk soon.